You spend years chasing something, believing that one day when you finally reach it, everything will fall into place. The struggle will make sense, the pain will disappear, and you'll finally feel complete. But what happens when you actually get there? What happens when the dream you held onto for so long becomes your reality? This is the story no one talks about. The illusion of arrival is one of the most powerful beliefs that drives people forward, yet it is also one of the most misleading. From a young age, we are conditioned to believe that success is a destination, a specific moment in time where everything finally makes sense. We imagine that once we achieve a certain goal, whether it's financial freedom, recognition, or personal milestones, a deep sense of fulfillment will automatically follow. This belief creates a mental finish line, a point where we expect our struggles to end and our happiness to begin. But when that moment actually arrives, it rarely feels the way we imagined. Instead of overwhelming joy or completion, there is often a quiet realization that life continues much the same as before. The external circumstances may have changed, but internally many of the same thoughts, doubts, and questions remain. This disconnect happens because the idea of arrival is rooted in the assumption that fulfillment is tied to outcomes, when in reality, it is tied to identity and inner alignment. The journey shapes who you become, but reaching the goal does not suddenly transform you into a completely different person. Without internal growth, the external achievement feels incomplete. What once seemed like the ultimate destination begins to feel like just another step, leading to a subtle sense of confusion or even emptiness. This is not a failure of success, but a misunderstanding of what success truly represents. The illusion lies in believing that a single moment can define your sense of worth or bring lasting peace, when in truth, fulfillment is created through continuous growth, self-awareness, and evolving purpose. Most people believe that success is something you can see, measure, and display: money in the bank, recognition from others, achievements stacked one after another. But the deeper truth is that real transformation has very little to do with what happens externally and everything to do with what shifts internally. You can change your environment, your lifestyle, even your level of success, but if your inner world remains the same, the experience of that success will feel limited or even unfulfilling. This is because external achievements are temporary by nature. They can be gained, lost, increased, or taken away. Internal transformation, on the other hand, is what gives those achievements meaning and stability. It's the shift in how you see yourself, how you think, how you respond to challenges, and how you define your worth. When someone focuses only on external results, they often find themselves stuck in a cycle of constantly chasing the next goal, believing that the next milestone will finally bring satisfaction. But when the focus turns inward, something powerful begins to happen. You start building confidence that isn't dependent on validation, clarity that isn't shaken by uncertainty, and a sense of peace that doesn't rely on circumstances. The external world then becomes a reflection of that inner state rather than the source of it. In this way, success is no longer something you try to prove to others, but something you naturally express through who you are becoming. The real shift occurs when you stop asking what you need to achieve in order to feel complete and start understanding who you need to become to live in alignment with your highest self. Letting go of your old identity is one of the most challenging and often overlooked parts of growth. The person you were before success, the one who struggled, doubted, chased, and proved, played a necessary role in getting you to where you are. That identity was built through pain, effort, and persistence, and for a long time, it became familiar and even comforting. But the same mindset that helped you survive the journey can quietly hold you back once you reach a new level. Success requires expansion, and expansion demands change. You cannot step into a new reality while holding on to the same beliefs, fears, and patterns that were shaped in a different phase of your life. This creates an internal conflict where one part of you is trying to grow while another part is clinging to what feels safe and known. Letting go doesn't mean rejecting your past or forgetting your journey. It means releasing the limitations that no longer serve you. It means no longer identifying with the version of yourself that constantly seeks validation, fears failure, or operates from scarcity. Instead, you begin to embrace a new identity, one rooted in confidence, trust, and purpose. This transition can feel uncomfortable, even unsettling, because it requires stepping into the unknown and redefining who you are without the labels you once relied on. There may be moments of doubt, where you question if you truly belong in this new space. But growth is not about holding on to who you were. It's about allowing yourself to evolve into who you are meant to become, even when it feels unfamiliar. There is a quiet paradox that often follows achievement, one that many people don't expect or openly talk about. On one hand, you feel deep gratitude for how far you've come, the struggles you endured, the progress you made, and the goals you once dreamed about that are now your reality. You recognize the growth, the lessons, and the effort it took to get here. And there is a genuine sense of appreciation for it all. But at the same time, there can be an unexplainable feeling of emptiness that sits beneath the surface. It's not a lack of success, and it's not ingratitude. It's the realization that what you thought would complete you didn't fully do so. This contrast can be confusing because you feel like you should be completely fulfilled, yet something still feels unfinished. The reason for this paradox is that achievement satisfies the mind's expectations, but it doesn't always fulfill the deeper needs of the soul. For so long, your focus was on reaching a goal, and that pursuit gave you direction and meaning. Once the goal is reached, that sense of pursuit fades, leaving space for new questions to arise. You begin to wonder what truly matters beyond the milestones, beyond the recognition, beyond the external validation. This is where emptiness is not a sign of failure, but an invitation to go deeper. It pushes you to shift your focus from what you have accomplished to why it matters, from what you have gained to what you are here to contribute. In this way, gratitude and emptiness can coexist, guiding you toward a more meaningful and purpose-driven life. When you reach a level of success that once felt like the ultimate goal, something subtle but powerful begins to shift within you. The drive that was once fueled by personal ambition, recognition, or the desire to prove yourself starts to lose its intensity. Not because you've lost motivation, but because your perspective begins to expand. You start to realize that achieving for yourself alone, no matter how significant it once felt, doesn't fully satisfy the deeper part of you that is seeking meaning. This is where a higher calling begins to emerge. It's not always loud or immediate. Often, it shows up as a quiet pull towards something greater than your own success. You begin to ask different questions, not just about what you can gain, but about what you can contribute. The focus shifts from accumulation to impact, from personal milestones to collective value. This transition marks a new phase of growth where purpose becomes the driving force rather than achievement. You start to see your skills, your experiences, and even your struggles as tools that can serve others. The journey is no longer just about building a life for yourself, but about creating something that extends beyond you. This sense of purpose brings a different kind of fulfillment, one that is more stable and deeply rooted than the temporary highs of success. It aligns your actions with something meaningful, something that continues to evolve and grow. In this space, success is no longer the end goal, but a foundation that allows you to step into a role that feels more authentic, more connected, and ultimately more impactful than anything you were chasing before.